Hello, beautiful Taurus, and welcome to November 2020. And as I like to call it for the Taurus family, mirror season, when the sun and actually Mercury and Venus, a lot of energy is in your opposing sign, is sitting over there on the other side, helping you to see your life from a different vantage point, helping you to check in over your growth since Taurus season and this midway point. It's a really powerful time of year in general. Obviously, the Taurus Scorpio axis is so beautiful and powerful. One of my favorite energetic axes to play with, and so I'm really excited to sit with you here. Now, there's a lot going on in November. It is a energetically dense, impactful month, and it has a different flavor than October. October, we were in the deep end of the pool. We were just like all the way out there working with the depth and the intensity of the energetics. November, we're starting to get that forward motion. Mercury goes direct on the 3rd in Libra, and Mars goes direct in Aries on the 13th. Neptune goes direct in Pisces on the 30th. So this month we're starting to come out of the fog. We're starting to come out of this deep internal work we've been doing, where it's been forcing us every day in, day out to look inside, look inside, look inside. The fog is clearing a little bit. And that's really powerful for you. Mars has been in your 12th house doing this big old dance in the sky, and we'll finish that out in January. So we're nearing the end of the Mars and Aries intensity, and then Mars is actually going to join you all. So that'll be an interesting transit in general. But there's something else going on here that I think is really important, and that is that Lilith has joined you, my friends. And I don't talk about Lilith very often. She's a very complex, rich energy. She moved into your sign in October. She'll be with you for several months. And Lilith is the rebel. She is the femme fatale. She is the empowered feminine. She's the dark feminine. And I think this is important, Taurus. A lot of times, because you work with Venusian energy, you're ruled by Venus, you feel that you may feel often that you have to be empowered by a certain type of creative energy that is very light and bright and beautiful and loves the beautiful things and loves the warm things and wants to be focused on how to get in there and be in the warmth. And Lilith coming here says that that's not the only part of your beautiful legacy and the work you do in the world that is valuable. You know, if Lilith is here with you, she wants you to use all your gifts and feel completely empowered in your beingness. So she is going to, I think about all the heavy hitting work with Mars retrograde in your 12th house, with Mercury retrograde moving through your 7th house, with a lot of the energy in Capricorn trining with you, but also challenging you to think about your worldview and what you want to do next. There's been a lot of challenging energy that has asked Taurus to go deep inside this year. And I feel like when Lilith comes to join you, and as this month is opening up and being very much about direct motion, the fog clearing, starting to see a path forward, starting to activate all that we have gained and learned from this internal journey out into the world, that you're being asked to just bring all of those gifts with you. And Lilith is going to be cheering you on, not from the sidelines, front and center with you. So this is a really powerful time. Now, I also think it's interesting in November too, because you guys all have your full moon on the 31st of October on Halloween, and that starts off November, really, that night of the 31st into the 1st into All Souls Day. We have this full moon in your sign, and it sets the tone for the entire month, energetic moon cycle month for you. And I think for you, this is really kind of I'm getting like full body shivers right now. A card just came out, 6 of Swords. Yeah, that makes so much sense. So I was just going to say, this month to me represents, for Taurus energetically, stepping through the doorway, right? I mean, I feel like I say that a lot, but there are times when there's a really, all the little months and all the little steps that you take for like months and months and months, there's that critical mass point where you wake up and suddenly everything's different and you're working with a different lens, and things that seemed hard for a long, long time are now skills that you have under your belt, and you're like, oh, I actually know how to do that. And things that felt like far away are suddenly like coming into place. That to me is how November feels. The Fool, yes. I feel like the Fool really loves you guys, because it doesn't show up every month with Taurus, but it shows up a lot for Taurus, like more than other signs I've been noticing this year. Maybe it's all that Uranus energy in your sign, probably. Ace of Cups. Oh my God, this is making me so happy to see. I love this. This is so beautiful. But this is really a month, as we can see by these cards, of stepping into Three of Swords. Okay. Not surprised that's coming through, Taurus. I think with expansion always comes healing our heart soreness and healing our heart fears and healing our circuitry around thoughts. And that is what Three of Swords is all about. It's about the painful circuits that we hold in our mental space all the time. Like, Swords energy is about how we use our mental faculties to our benefit or our detriment. But this month does not feel messy. You know, some months, like October was so dense, you can feel like a ball of twine, just like, you know, and you have to like parse out like where the twine begins and ends, and it's just crazy, and there's a lot of noise. For Taurus in November, it gets very quiet because there's not a lot you need to do, but you have to focus on what it is that you are going toward, and you're going to be noticing that that path is wide open. You know, Six of Swords is about leaving behind something, right? It's about a graduation and the bittersweetness that comes with that. And while a lot of times people think of this as kind of a lamenting card, because it's like having to leave something behind that maybe you did love, maybe did support you, maybe was a huge part of how you defined yourself or how you defined your safety. And having to leave that is kind of like painful and a little overwhelming and can be very bittersweet. This is one of my favorite cards, because this to me, it signals what it feels like when you are following your path, you're following your soul call, and there's this powerful sense of like, this is so right. Even though it means I have to leave behind the familiar, even though it means that there's a part of my physical body and a part of my inner child that's a little bit scared and is a little bit sad and a little bit melancholy, I'm following that call. And there is this beautiful transformation that occurs when we are working with Six of Swords, where we are really changing landscapes emotionally, mentally, and often physically, and getting ready to make those moves. And for you, it has to do with new beginnings. And like I said, this direct motion energy for you this month, the way that it's playing out, is very supportive of you. As we work through Scorpio season, Venus joins Scorpio, Mercury joins Scorpio, the sun's moving through Scorpio. Mercury, Venus, Scorpio direct all in your sign, all in your opposing sign, is very beautiful for relationship. It's very beautiful for breakthrough. And also with Mars going direct in the 12th, this is spiritual growth as well. So there's a lot here that's wanting to move you forward, wanting to break into new territory. Now, it's going to look different for everyone. Some of you are going to be taking your relationships to the next level. Some of you are going to be so prolific creatively that you're just going to be bursting at the seams with ideas and with concepts and just wanting to play with your toolbox, right? That sounds wrong somehow, but you know what I mean. Maybe you will, I don't know. It's none of my business. But maybe you will, there's a breaking through here, right? This is when we access a part of ourselves that sometimes in our adulthood we shut down because of pain, because of past trauma, because of things we've experienced that make it seem foolish to be in that hopeful, bright, open place. And one of the things I've been talking a lot about, especially on my Patreon, we have our weekly discussions. One of the things we talk about a lot there is that this year has made it seem, I think, especially if you like look at the news and you're like trying to figure out like what's true, it makes it seem like it's very foolish to be in that heart open, curious, believing, in connection with divine place. it feels like that inner critic voice is really, really loud because culturally right now there's a lot of stress and there's a lot of collective stress. And so it's like, am I allowed to be open to this beauty in life? Am I allowed to be open and creative like this? Am I allowed to have my heart open like this? Because it seems like everybody's telling me that that's a really dumb thing to do. And that's, of course, what the Fool always does. Everybody's like, this guy, what is he doing? You know, he doesn't know what he's doing. You know, the Fool is very tied to, like, Jesus symbolism as well. Anybody who's read The Idiot by Dostoevsky, it's also, there's a lot of parallels between that idea. And that's a man who has like a form of epilepsy, it seems, and people don't understand him, but everybody opens their heart to him, right? And he's not actually the Fool. He's actually one of the wisest characters in the story. It's a really great book if you ever get the chance to read it, and I'm sure some of you have. But the Fool and the Ace of Cups here are asking for that openness, right? They're asking for that foolhardiness of being open to the beauty of this direct motion, to the beauty of what's coming in for you here. Now, the Three of Swords is here. Yes, let's address this bad boy, because I know, right? A lot of people love to look at this card and say, oh, there's drama, oh, there's heartache. Maybe. You know, maybe some of you will be confronted with things that are not working for you anymore. And that can be like the city you're living in, the house you're living in, friendships, relationships that have been hurting you for a while. Part of, you know, growing and breaking through is listening to your soul and your soul path. For those of you where things are going well and you're opening up more and more and more, right? We think that that is just going to be fun and bright and light all the time. Well, if I'm in this great place where I'm being creative and I'm open-hearted and I'm falling in love and I'm getting closer in my relationships and everything's going well, then I should never feel any contrast. And I think that is one of the biggest misrepresentations of joy that there is, because when we're growing into joy, our past pains, our past circuitry comes in and is like, this does not match with what I've been telling you to keep you safe for years. None of this matches, none of this feels safe, none of this feels like you should be feeling this way. What are you doing? It's the haunted house. That's what Three of Swords is all about, is the haunted house of our mind, where bad things have happened in the past, where things have fallen apart in the past, that wants to shut down the Fool, the inner Ace of Cups, the inner Fool, so that we stay safe. So just be aware as you're growing and as you're stepping into this phase, and this is something that's just going to keep happening with you, Taurus, I'll be honest. Uranus is for real wanting you to be authentic to yourself. Lilith is for real wanting you to be authentic to yourself. It's going to keep happening, that you're going to keep working on rewiring this. So don't expect it all to happen this month. But the main message here is that really good things are coming. Be open to it. Be a little bit curious. See where it takes you. Now we're going to do a final card from the beautiful deck of the Animal Totem Tarot. Highly recommend getting this deck if you love nature and animals and that's something that speaks to you. I'm going to pull one final card and read the animal message from that conversation. Such a great way to end these talks for November. Such a powerful time. Okay, well, 2 cards came out, so I guess we'll just go for it. We have the Four of Pentacles with the squirrel, and we have Justice with the crane, I believe it is. So Four of Pentacles and the squirrel, very interesting combo. I'm going to start with Justice because I happen to be close to that in the book. Here it is, the crane. Yes. Beautiful card. Trying to have you see it there. Okay, here's the message from the crane. Balance is not just about being even. Balance is about finding the middle path or making it to one's center. In order to find true balance, one must make sure that one's center is not corrupt or contaminated by ego. For if it is, justice will be impossible to find. With my beak, I can pluck out the unwanted toxins from your emotional waters so you can clear the path back to the middle, back to center, balanced, complete, and whole again. Yeah, I think that message really makes sense when I think about following your soul, right? Following your inner guidance system that's saying, open up to this stuff, and when it's saying leave behind this stuff, and when it's saying, there's very simple instructions, it's like that we get those instructions from that centered place, right? And it's and it has bittersweetness in it, and it has joy in it, but it's like that center knowing, and I think that's where that justice message is coming through. Now we also have our little friend the squirrel and the Four of Pentacles here, who's very adorable. I love squirrels. One of my favorite friends to sit with when I'm sitting outside. The squirrel says, they say you can never have too much of a good thing, but there comes a time when things are no longer any good, and all you are left with is something that you can no longer use. Whoa, this message. It is easy to get caught up in the frenzy of always wanting more, but when is enough enough? There is only so much you can enjoy at any given time. The rest is merely taking up space. Four of Pentacles is normally a card that speaks to when it's time to make changes and we're afraid to let go because we feel like we don't have enough. We won't have enough. We won't be accounted for. So the message coming here with the squirrel is, you don't need to hoard yourself up and keep yourself small and stuck in the same position. There's a lot of movement behind you this month. And you're going to be feeling that, where it's like you can stay still. You can choose that. But everything inside of you is going to be like, what are we doing? We got to go. So I think it's a blessing, and it's also can be overwhelming. So keep that in mind, beautiful Taurus. But I am so excited for you. Like I've mentioned, Patreon is really the place where I do those weekly energetic supports, and we get more in detail about these transits, things like Pluto and Jupiter conjunct and what that means. Things like working through what Lilith in Taurus for the next few months is going to mean. There's a lot of powerful things that I'm doing over there, so if you're interested in joining me, I'd love to see you. I'll leave the link below. You can also find me on my website and on Instagram, and of course you can find PinkLune, my favorite Taurus in the world, her beautiful jewelry over on her Etsy shop. I'll leave all of the links below, and please subscribe and hang out with me. I'd love to see more of you here. I will see you all in December for more of this wild ride that we are on in 2020. I love you.